Welcome to the Walk Talks podcast, a resource produced by Southland Christian Ministries located in Ringgold, Louisiana. Our purpose is to provide you with daily devotions so that you can faithfully grow in your relationship with Christ each and every day. We hope these truths will be an encouragement to you as you hear from God's Word today.
Good morning, and welcome to Walk Talks. This is Jason Dennis from Southland Christian Camp. Today I'll be sharing my testimony and how the Lord brought me here to Southland Christian Camp. I was saved at the age of 5 and was baptized about 10 years later. But how the Lord brought me here is kind of an interesting and unique story. I always had a childhood dream of having my own restaurant, but as I got older I wanted to be involved in ministry, and I didn't see how the two would go together. In high school, I had a home economics class on cooking, and then when I had to do a vocation paper as a senior, I chose to do it on the chef, even still thinking this is nowhere where I'm going to be because I want to be involved in ministry. I started attending Maranatha, and then I worked in the dining commons there for half a year, mostly doing dishes, but also doing some made-to-order, making omelets and stuff like that. When my family moved out to California, I started working at a retirement place, and I started working in the kitchen. And while I was there, I was primarily doing dishes and being a waiter, but occasionally I got to do a little bit of cooking. Meanwhile, still thinking, this is not going to be my end job. I'm going to be in ministry somewhere. I just don't know how or where or what. Fast forward a few years, and I started working at a camp out in California called Wolf Mountain. First summer, I chose to be a cook, not because, I'm so excited about being a cook, but because I felt comfortable and maybe more of a last resort option. I wanted to be a counselor or something like that, but I didn't feel comfortable jumping into camping ministry without knowing how things worked. So I chose being a cook, and that was all good. So the second summer I came back and I chose to be a counselor. So that fall I came back as an intern, kind of an apprenticeship position, and once again I chose to be a cook just because I knew what would be kind of expected of me. But while in those first couple months of being an intern there, I fell in love with cooking as a ministry and saw myself potentially doing this full time. And as the years progressed, I saw that this is something I could do full time, and I was actually planning to go on full time there until I met Hannah, and plans for all that kind of fell apart, not because she didn't want to be involved in ministry, but because the camp there at Wolf Mountain didn't have space for another full-time couple. And so the camp director there said something to the effect that I would probably need to start looking elsewhere. I wasn't quite ready to start looking elsewhere, but God had other plans. While my camp director from there was recruiting at Bob Jones, Mike Herbster from Southland here was recruiting there as well and mentioned it as a prayer request that they needed a full-time cook. Well, fast forward, my camp director from Wolf Mountain texts me after that and says that Mike Herbster is going to call me about a potential job at Southland. And I'm just like, wait, what? Wait, okay, this is awesome. But anyhow, so it was exciting. And fast forward a little bit, and I'm moving out here in February of 2020, and everything was crazy busy for about a month before things slowed down because of COVID. And I was very thankful for that time because I was able to get a better head on my shoulders on what was happening, who I'm ordering from, my coworkers, just what's expected of me as heading up the kitchen here at Southland. And it was just nice to be able to slow down and figure out what was going on, especially because... And then Hannah and I got married in May of 2020, right before summer of 2020, but little did we know at the time that summer of 2020 was going to be canceled. And so what that meant for us was essentially we had an extended honeymoon, which was really awesome. And then starting back up in the fall, and things were a lot slower and kind of worked up speed, and it's just been awesome. I mean, now I've been here for 2 full summers, and God is really blessed, and I'm very thankful for the ministry and the opportunities for service that God has placed me in here. I have so many more stories. If you ever catch me and have time to talk, I'd love to share how God has worked in each of those situations, how God has blessed, how God has provided, and how His will has been made known.
Thanks for listening to the Walk Talks podcast. We trust that what you've heard today has challenged your walk with God. It is our prayer that through this podcast, every listener would strive to become more like Christ and faithfully live for Him each and every day. Join us next time, and God bless.